love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out.
Hello, Miami. Thank you so much for watching 305 Sports Now. Welcome to 305 Live, aka today is the start of my segment with Q of the I Hate Football podcast known as Our Take, except one thing. There's no Q, right? Q flew back home today from Miami, going back to Atlanta, and his voice, if you heard him on the phone today, was really, really rough. I guess I told him to get some rest, see if he could come on later. Maybe he was just a little tired, but the bottom line is I think he's exhausted, and his voice showed it. So hopefully he comes into the comment section. But the bottom line is though, he will be on with me next week. So I'm really excited about that. Q will officially make his debut on Our Take next week after Miami throttles Bethune-Cookman. What is up, Juan? Yes, we won, man. We won. A lot of the national pundits had Miami losing this game. Very few actually picked Miami. Credit to Lee Corso, who actually picked the Miami Hurricanes. And guess what ended up happening? Miami did win that game. I was never in doubt Miami could win this game. All the intangibles were in Miami's favor. You had the more experienced quarterback. You had a very good defensive line as far as the end position goes as well. The linebacker rotation, from what I was hearing, was very, very good. I like what we did in the secondary, especially with upgrades, with experience, and also eligibility as well. So a running back room. Thought we had the better offensive line, honestly, and I thought it could compete with their defensive line. So I'm not surprised we won that game. I'll be honest with you. I was a little surprised with the drama that ensued toward get there. I thought Miami would win by 10, 24-14. But I also, and I'll get into that in a minute, I was surprised to see how mobile CJ Carr actually was. I mean, the guy seemed like he was a statue that didn't move, and he was actually pretty mobile, and he was pretty elusive when he had to be on several times in that football game. It could have been a lot worse for him as far as the sack count goes. So the one thing I do want to talk about is the offense. The offense really, really, really did have a really, really good night. I will say it faced a very, I want to say really good night. I mean, statistically speaking, it doesn't look that way, right? It doesn't look that way, but I will say that as far as really good night goes, is that Carson Beck did impress me. He was very poised. As far as his delivery in the pocket as well. He was able to change protection if need be. He understood the Notre Dame defense. He was a gamer. I will say he was just an absolute gamer, and I'm glad we have him. And that's the reason why we got him, is for games like this, because of his experience, especially facing some of the top defenses in the ACC. Juan, thank you so much. Very supportive. The player of the year, back to CJ Daniels. Can you imagine if Bain returns that interception into a pick six? I will bring that up. I wish he would have gone for a pick six, because I wasn't happy the way we got the 3. So I will bring that up, and I will talk in depth about it. That was a very, very, very beautiful throw. It was up for grabs per se. However, it was kind of on the money because CJ Daniels was the only one near the football. There were Notre Dame defenders around him. It was like he was alone, but it was near him. It was like it was accurately thrown at him with a lot of velocity. And he could have gotten popped in that play, and he made just a spectacular one-handed catch. And I wish I would have been able to see my friend from church, who's a Bulldog fan, a Georgia Bulldog fan, so I could tell him that's what happens when Carson Beck has receivers that can catch. All right. They show out for him, and they can show how good he could actually be. The stat line wasn't that impressive, wasn't that crazy. I'm gonna go over the stat line for a minute. I'm gonna pop them out now. Okay, as it goes, let me go over to the page here, and it wasn't that impressive as you can see. It was like 20 for 31. It was over 60%, but a little bit over average, 6.6 yards per passes, 2 touchdowns, a QBR rating of 84.9. He was efficient. He did his job. The Canes rushed for 127 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. But I do say there were some runs in the game that were very, very, very effective. Shamar Brown had an average of 3 yards after contact. Okay, so it was very difficult to bring him down, and we saw that when he scored a touchdown to make it 21-7 in the third quarter, how Shamar Brown was able to do that as well. I like what we saw from Jordan Lau early on. Again, only 5 for 11 for 2.2 yards, but I did like we saw. Mark Fletcher ran very aggressively, and that is something that I did enjoy watching. He ran very aggressively and he lowered his head. A lot of Notre Dame guys, he made a lot of those guys miss as well. And I thought that was a very good thing for Miami to see. The Miami offensive line, in terms of his run blocking, was pretty effective despite what the numbers say, because there were situations where it looked like they were going to completely take control of the game, especially in the second half. And even the announcers were saying that the Notre Dame defensive line was wearing down. So that's something that really did occur during the game. Much credit to Notre Dame's defensive staff under Marcus Freeman that were able to kind of adjust to the circumstances and kind of help with that fatigue, because it was showing that the defensive line for Notre Dame was getting worn down, especially when they had to tackle Mark Fletcher and, of course, Shamar Brown as well. However, I will say the CJ Daniels catch is pretty much a candidate for catch of the year, especially since it was in such a big moment against a top 10 team like Notre Dame in prime time. But like I told you guys recently, I told you guys from the very beginning, there is one individual that you needed to watch out for, that he was going to be a starter or get a lot of playing time. And of course, that individual was Malachi, and still is Malachi Toney. Malachi Toney in his freshman debut. Welcome to the U. 6 catches, 82 yards, averaging over 13 yards, almost 14 yards a pop per reception, 1 touchdown, and that was a 28-yard pass from Carson Beck, right on the money when Carson Beck was moving away from the oncoming Fighting Irish Rush. Drops it right in the breadbasket. Touchdown, Miami. My only thing is that I wish they would have used the tight ends a little bit more, but I do think they took Elijah Lofton out of the picture. Elijah Lofton did have 1 catch for 15 yards, but aside from that, it was a wide receiver and, of course, the check down show as well, as Mark Fletcher got 1 ball thrown at him for 8 yards, and Marty Brown got 2 passes thrown to him for 17 yards as well. So, again, all in all, against a tough team, it was a substantive performance for the Miami Hurricanes. They did their job. Okay, they did their job. My only concern is that I will say this, and I know it's been talked about, and I don't want to be that dude. I heard somebody ridiculously say that they wanted Mario Cristobal fired because of what ended up happening, during the, let me adjust my screen. There we go. They want him fired because him and Shannon Dawson are too conservative. I will say this though. I do think, there you go. Juan, it's like you're reading my mind, dude. What was your most surprising thing you saw of the game? What you think about the Heisman debut? Your view on Mario's conservative coaching at the end? Who were your 5 stars for the game? Oh, good. Thanks, man. I will give you all that. Thank you so much for listening, and you will get all that and about women. I'm gonna stick with the offense right now, and I will say I didn't like the conservative play calling. I will talk about the defense. The Ruben Bain interception that almost went for 6. 3 straight runs. That was something that I didn't quite like. I know you're saying Shannon Dawson. I know there's been a lot of talk in the past about Coach Cristobal and his taking over of the offense. I've never really thought that because when it was a TVD show a few years ago, I always thought that they just had to condense the playbook because TVD was basically couldn't read his own defense, if we're being sincere. Okay. And I didn't feel that with Cam Ward. We were super aggressive with Cam last year. I mean, even when we weren't coming back, when it was kind of an even keel game where we could have ran the football a little bit, I mean, we threw. Okay, one of the criticisms actually in the Syracuse game that some podcasters have levied is that Miami should have ran more. So Miami was, flinging it with Cam Ward all over the football field. So my take on that is that I did feel like it was Mario telling Coach Dawson, listen, let's run the ball a little bit. And my take on it is I heard his take on it on the Joe Rose show in the morning. I listened to Joe Rose in the morning on my way to work. And I understood where he was coming from to some extent. I just don't agree. I like the Jimmy Johnson way of doing things, that you just go for the throw. You had Notre Dame on the ropes. I think if you would have gotten that touchdown, you knock Notre Dame out and you suck whatever momentum they could have ever thought about having. And I think that's pretty much what they could have done if they would have had a touchdown in that game. They knew you were going to run the football, okay? They stacked up the box with 7 dudes or 6 or 7 guys. They knew you were running the football. It was 3rd and 3. You could have gone for play action and go for a simple pass. I know you respect Notre Dame secondary. I respect Notre Dame secondary. Notre Dame secondary's guys are really good. They're really good football players, and they got away with a lot on Saturday. A lot of little tugging of the jersey, a little hip grab on Malachi Toney, a little tug on Christian Gray, a little tug on JoJo Trader's jersey that could have gone for a big play or 6 points itself. on a beautiful ball that was thrown by Carson Beck. But the bottom line is though, is that I just feel like if you play not to lose a game, you lose a game. I remember years ago, and I'm sure Juan remembers this as well. Al Golden had a 15-point lead at halftime against Florida State. It was Jameis Winston's second year after his Heisman Trophy winning campaign, the year after they won the national championship. We had him at home, and we had him on the ropes, and Al Golden pulled back the dogs and pulled back James Coley. They were trying to be way too conservative instead of maybe adding another touchdown to make it a 3-touchdown deficit that really would have put Florida State in a position where you could pin your ears back and go after Winston the whole game. Not that homeboy Mark D'Onofrio ever believed in blitzing, but the bottom line is though that could have been the philosophy, and the Canes lost that game. Some things happened. The ball bounced FSU certain way, but they lost that football game. A little, DeWitt, don't be so kind. Hey, it was a little conservative. All right, they were pretty good. The first half, and the running game was working in the third. You were beating the tar out of them. You took a lot of time off the clock on both instances in the first and even the third quarter as well. But I mean, again, low play action. What's the worst that could happen? You can get an interception if you do something dumb. But if you throw it in a position where only the receiver could catch it, just to try to get 3 yards out of it and a first down, that's something that you could have done. Okay. Yeah. No, it was a lot of grabbing. I mean, a lot of grabbing, and the crowd in that stadium, the 67,000 that were there, let the refs know it. No, that was a lot of grabbing. Okay. Yes, I was being too nice. Yes, there was a lot of grabbing. There's a lot of tug of that jersey on several occasions, especially with Malachi Toney and also with JoJo when he was in. But mostly with Malachi, they really did tug on Malachi quite a bit because Malachi is an ankle breaker when it comes to running his routes. So that's something that Notre Dame had to try to get away with, and they got away with it quite a bit throughout that game. But going back a little bit to the conservative play calling, I don't want to be in a situation where they have to tie the game. I'd rather need a touchdown, which makes it a lot harder for them to win the game. So I would have rather gotten the first down. If you get the first down, you could run a little bit more. You can get a lot more clock in as well. Notre Dame has no more timeouts at the end of the day, much sooner, and you can maybe try to put one in the end zone. If you get a field goal, you get a field goal. I know he trusted his kicker more so than we did because he sees him at practice. One of my concerns this upcoming season was special teams. Because there's no special teams coach and we have a new kicker. So that's something that I was concerned about. But Carter Davis, stepped up, and despite his record over in FAU, it's a new season. It's a new team. He beat out Bert Auburn that played at a very prestigious school in Texas, and he nailed both kicks. Okay, so I got to give him credit where credit is due. It didn't come back to bite Mario this time around, but it may come back to bite Mario in the future. Listen, and I defended Mario in the Syracuse game, because at the end of the day, you want to get points, and regardless, you needed to stop. I know a lot of people were upset that when you have Cam Ward, you should have gone for the touchdown. You were 10 yards away from the end zone. It wasn't that close, and you weren't guaranteed to score. If it was a little shorter, I would have said you go for it and make it, and get 7 and tie the game up. But I understand why Mario did it in that circumstance. In 3rd and 3, I can't agree. I understand what he said. I just can't agree because at the end of the day, I like going for the throat. I like ending teams and breaking their backs and breaking their will and making it harder for them to come back. Notre Dame could have tied that game if we would have made a couple of mistakes here and there. So that's all I really got to say about that. But it was very conservative. But overall, I do expect the offense to get better as the season progresses. Another thing, too, it might have been also because we didn't have the experience at wide receiver as well. That could have been another factor, but whatever. It is what it is. I do hope as the season progresses that next on other situations, Carson Beck's more comfortable with his receivers. The young guys kind of get their feet wet, get their footing in throughout the game, and they're able to win. I don't want to see that with Florida. If we're tied, or we're up by 3, and it's 3rd and 2. If you could run down 3rd and 2, it's fine. But if you could do a little play action, I would try that. Especially, it all depends, in the game. Miami was getting some yards on first down. They were getting some push. But the bottom line is that I just thought they should have passed there. They ran a little too much and they stacked the box. Did you ever in your wildest dreams believe you saw Mario / offensive / defensive coordinators outcoach Marcus Freeman's staff? I think Mario deserves credit. Yeah, I agree. Mario Cristobal, to me, with the exception of a few occasions, and I will say this past Sunday evening was one of them in the second half, because I really don't think it was Dawson's idea to run it that much. I think he was just listening to listening to his head coach, his boss. Mario's the CEO, and Mario is the guy to me that he lets his coordinators coordinate, and I think that's who he is. I know the Oregon thing was it's Mario's power, this and that. Mario saw power football, blah, blah, blah. What I saw last season, and it was a different season with Cam Ward. What they said about Mario, I didn't see it, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that it's just because it was the different atmosphere. A quarterback that hadn't thrown a whole lot, hadn't thrown a lot before spring football, hadn't thrown at all during spring football. And I don't know. I really don't know. I just don't want to see. I don't want to see passive football again. That's really all I want to say. I want us to take them out and make it much more difficult for them. So that's my only take. And yeah, I do think Shannon Dawson did outcoach the defensive staff of Notre Dame. I do think that our offensive line bullied them pretty well. I do think our running backs, both Brown and also Fletcher, punished them, absolutely punished them as well. And they got embarrassed by two freshmen that they had to deviate their defense to him. So I do think that's something that I will give credit to Mario for putting that staff together and having a say in that game plan as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I go into the defense, I just have to give a word from our sponsors, Fan Outfitters. 1 second, just queuing it up. And Fan Outfitters, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever in the Kendall, Davie, or Pembroke Pines area, please visit Fan Outfitters for your best outfits in Miami Dolphins, Hurricanes, Inter Miami, Miami Heat, and all other major sports teams locally. Ooh, Miami! I am proud to announce that Fan Outfitters is the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. With locations in Pembroke Pines, Davie, and Kendall, you can find the latest gear and accessories for all your favorite South Florida teams. Teams like your Miami Hurricanes, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Inter Miami, Miami Marlins, and many, many more. So if you ever find yourself in the Pembroke Pines area, Davie, or Kendall, please stop by Fan Outfitters, the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. Yeah, guys, if you're ever in the Pembroke Pines, Kendall, or Davie area, please check out Fan Outfitters. I shop there, and the moment I walked in, especially the Kendall store, that was my first experience at Fan Outfitters. I was gonna buy some fritanga, and they have their store right next to it there in town, formerly known as Town and Country. Walked in there, and I was just fascinated how big it was and how much merchandise they had. So if you get a chance, go by the Kendall area, Davie area. Davie has a good spot as well. And also Pembroke Pines. All right. So now I want to talk about the defense a little bit. The defense was something that was the talk of the town as far as the conversation goes, as a lot of people were speculating, how good is Miami's defense really? How good is it? How potent is it? How powerful is it? Is Ruben Bain returned back to form? Like all those things were being asked by the fan base, commentators alike, and they thought that Miami's defense, especially the defensive front, would have their hands full against Notre Dame's offensive line and also their very talented running back, Jeremiah Love. Well, guess what happened to Mr. Love, as Notre Dame's running game was only held to 94 yards rushing, and not only that, about 3.5 yards per carry. Totally, you had, let me go really quickly to just look at the stats really quickly as I pull them up here on my own. Jadarian Price had 6 carries, had the best run of the game, a 30-yard run for 45 yards, but that's all he really had. They bottled those two up rather easily. I thought that CJ Carr was more impressive running the football than their running back tandem. All right, Jeremiah Love, 10 carries, 33 yards, 3.3. They stacked the box and dared CJ Carr to beat them. And let me tell you, CJ Carr didn't have much luck, as he went 19 for 30 in the game for 221, but one of them was on a big play on the one busted coverage to Eli Reardon, who had 5 catches, 97 yards, and a 65-yard pass reception on its own, where Mohamed Toure lost him, and he got that big gain. So aside from that, overall, it was a very solid performance for the Miami Hurricanes. There were situations where I was hoping that we would get to CJ Carr sooner, but the ball did get out quickly out of his hands. But Miami made the right defensive plays. Miami's defensive line looked a lot better this season than last season. There's a different I know it's just the first game of last year. We kicked the crap out of the Gators, but there's a different umph and the step to this team that didn't occur last season. Ruben Bain, who was injured most of the season last year, really stepped up and looked a lot faster, a lot quicker, and a lot more powerful and shiftier than last season. The way he embarrassed the right tackle for Notre Dame, as well as Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor, you can say all about Ruben Bain. Ruben ended up with half a sack in the game, but Mesidor had a sack and a half, and he was just a wrecking ball. Him and Bain really made CJ Carr's life a living nightmare, okay? Again, only 2 mistakes, I was saying coverage, the busted coverage where Teray lost the Notre Dame tight end, and of course, when CJ Carr threw that touchdown pass in which the cornerbacks got caught watching the quarterback's eyes and lost coverage of their men in that time. There's a little undisciplined there as they were just basically ball watching throughout that time. And those are 2 situations that were quite, they did hurt because it led to points. But nonetheless, those are only last year. It felt like there was more, and you were literally hoping that the other team never got on the field at all. So I didn't feel that way in this game. I thought Miami did impose their will both on offense and defense on the defensive side of the ball as well. Ruben Bain did have a fantastic interception in which the ball was batted up in the air by Damari Brown. It was one of those bubble screens, wide receiver bubble screens, and it got batted up in the air. Keontae Scott tried picking that thing off. He looked like Randy Moss up there trying to get that football, kicks it with the heel of a shoe, and ends up in the chest of Ruben Bain. And Ruben Bain looked like a defensive back there, taking it back and almost scoring for his football team. Again, the linebacker crew as well was very impressed as well. Some missed tackles here and there, but nothing major, nothing crucial. The linebacker crew did. Teray, Bobo did very well. Basaint, they all did their jobs, throughout the process. I like seeing, the rotational aspect of this team as they rotated the defensive linemen. They also rotated their linebackers as well. They also rotated defensive backfield as well. The defensive, the cornerbacks for this team were flat out locked. They locked down Notre Dame's receivers, Faison and Fields, and it was just the way they did it was beautiful. Malachi Fields, that catch he had. Hold on 1 second. I'm getting a comment here. Okay, here we go. Actually, I'm in there right now. I talk about the physicality and team speed improvement Miami displayed. Example, Damari Brown. Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there. I'm telling you, man, you're reading my mind, dude. Like you really are. All right, Juan, you really are. And thank you for watching, man. I greatly appreciate all your support. And anybody that wants, feel free to comment. Feel free to comment on this channel. I read all your comments and I answer all your questions. Okay, again, I don't have a show without you. All right, the audience out there. So just feel free to chime in and I'll answer your questions, and we'll talk a little bit, chatting it up here and there. Yeah, the physicality was much more than what I saw as well. Again, I like the tandem of Xavier Lucas and OJ Frederic. They really did shut down the Notre Dame wide receiver core when it came to going vertical. The play that Malachi Fields caught that football, that was a crazy catch. It was nothing really Damari could do. It wasn't like he was embarrassed or he was mossed or he was burnt on the play. It was just a good throw by CJ Carr and an even better catch by Malachi Fields. So I do think that is something that I did like from what I saw as well. Like the safety play as well. Jacoby Thomas is everything is advertised, laying that smack down as well. Poyser as well. I mean, I really did enjoy what I saw. I was very happy. Okay, I really did. I really did enjoy everything that I saw. My only take, I think it was on Notre Dame's second touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. I thought in the third quarter we played a little bit, or early fourth, we played a little bit too much off coverage, and I think that's how Notre Dame was able to march down the field for that one drive in which they scored. I think it was their second touchdown or their last touchdown. I don't remember. Juan, if you remember, let me know. They played a little off coverage. They weren't in the grill of the receivers as they were during most of the game. So that's pretty much it as far as that goes. But yeah, very impressive win. Very impressive win. I think Notre Dame's a well-coached football team. This wasn't a fluke by Miami. Notre Dame is not as bad as some people may out there hope that they are, or people in Tallahassee hope that they are, people in Florida over there in Gainesville hope that they are. I think Notre Dame is going to win quite a few games this year with CJ Carr at the helm, and they still have a very good defense. That secondary with Christian Gray is still that secondary as well. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be in your grill, and they're going to pursue the quarterback. And I do think that Notre Dame will be a pretty solid football team this year, as will Miami. Again, again, like I said in the Rainy Day podcast, as I said on Flow Show, I conservatively, when I was on the SoFlo podcast, I conservatively, okay, picked a 10-win season with a couple hiccups just because, unfortunately, that's the reputation that Miami has. Okay, a touchdown by Jordan Faison. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so thank you. See, Juan, you remembered, right? Yeah, it was Jordan Faison. Yeah, I remember that one. Coverage was disappointing there. Yeah, that was the third touch. That was on third down. Okay, yeah, the coverage was terrible. Yeah, I think that was the third. Yeah, the third touchdown that they had. No, the third touchdown was TJ Carr. That was the second touchdown, I think it was. But it was, bottom lines are off. The coverage was off. The coverage was off. But I will say this. That I do think I am pleased. Okay, I'm pleased. I think this team is going to get better. And like I said on the SoFlo podcast, with Ashley and Lou, big shout out to them. Adrian Rainey's podcast, the Rainy Day podcast, big shout out to them. Also, the Miami Flow podcast, of course, everyone knows who the guy is, Flo, and Cafecito con Kane, on that special that he had, we had all of us come on, us Kane's content creators. I said on his show as well, if Miami can get past Notre Dame and Florida, there's no reason why this team can't go 12-0. Okay, and I'm not trying to say it's going to be easy 12-0. There's going to be some teams that are giving Miami a fight, and I did predict a 10-win season because Miami has historically had a couple hiccups, especially towards after buys and towards the late end of the season. Okay, it happened in 2017. That was a different team that had a problem with their offense. Okay, that's an offense that wasn't very explosive. I know they were good. That's a team that beat Florida State. That's a team that pounded Notre Dame. But let's face it, that wasn't a very dynamic offense. Okay, let's be honest. With Malik Rozier at quarterback, it was a very old school pro style system. All right. And then, of course, you have last year's team that Cam Ward scored at will, but the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Okay, so that's pretty much what it was last season. I don't think that's going to be a problem this year. I do think the complementary football is going to be there. Miami has depth, especially in most positions, with the exception of D tackle. A loss of a Justin Scott, a Moten, or Blake could be pretty hard on this team, but nonetheless, it is a team with a lot of depth at the edge rusher position. It is a team with depth at the linebacker position. It is a team with depth also at the secondary position as well. The O-line has a lot of depth as well. Okay. And also the wide receiver core, young, but there's depth. And the running back position, depth as well. Quarterback, it's let's see if Emery's made some improvements. But hopefully, that we don't have to deal with that. All right. Juan says again, we'll be honest. How does it feel different from the Florida win last season? I kind of feel like deja vu, like we're going to crumble. Do not speak that, okay? All right? Do not speak that, sir. Come on, Juan. No. The Lord wouldn't like you saying that, okay? Have faith in your team, all right? In general. So yeah, man. It's a different coordinator. It's a different coaching staff altogether. I don't think we're gonna see it again. I'm not saying Miami's gonna play great defense every game. You might have some lapses here and there, but I honestly don't think that we beat the tar out of Florida on both sides of the ball last year. Okay, the defense this year felt a little different. It just felt a bit different. It just felt like there's more physicality, right, with Heatherman's defense. Even though they beat the tar out of Florida, but there seems to be more physicality this year than there was last year. That seems to be the trend. It's a faster team. It feels also as well as these guys were flying to the ball altogether. Again, Florida week 4 is going to be a really good test with DJ Lagaway as well. DJ Lagaway, and I think he liked my comment about faith. All right, with DJ Lagaway. And as well as those young receivers as well. And Florida's offensive line is said to be pretty good as well. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a good test. And then later on, teams that will test you will be Florida State, okay, which is after Florida. Team that will test you will be Florida State. I'm not sure how good Florida State really is. They are better than they were last year. They proved that on Saturday against Alabama. I'm not sure if Florida State's super great. They've really turned the corner. Or is Alabama just in a regressionary period right now? So, but I do think Florida State's better this season. That's beyond a shadow of a doubt, and you can't sleep on them this upcoming year because they are capable of putting points up on the board if you sleep on them. And it's over there at Doak. But nonetheless, Florida State will be a solid test. And Of course, Louisville will always be a problem. Yes, Miami did come out healthy. All right, Miami did come out healthy. I haven't heard anything about injuries. So yeah, Miami did come out healthy in this game. Jojo Trader was, from what I understand, on a snap count. Okay, because he had, if I'm not mistaken, an injury during practice, and he was working his way back from. So he was like kind of like on a snap count, and it probably will increase next week, the week after that, and he'll get more run against Florida. Okay, but that's a good thing. Okay, because with Jojo Trader out, you got Keelan Marion that could come in as well. You got Tony Johnson as well. You got Joshua Moore. So like I said, there's talent. Okay, there's talent in this receiving core, and I do think that we're going to show that. Okay, with inexperience, there's talent, and once they get some experience, you really see that talent come together. Okay, so that's where I'm at as far as our team goes. Before I let you go, I do want to speak a little bit about Bethune-Cookman. It's going to be a slaughter. We all know that Bethune-Cookman lost, and we're totally torn up by FIU in their season opener by a score 42-7. The only thing I'm going to predict is whether or not Miami will stay under 50, and I think they're going over 50. I think you're going to see Carson Beck probably play first quarter, maybe half the second quarter. I don't think we'll see maybe the whole first half, but I think you'll see that, and then we'll see Emery come in, and then we'll see Luke come in, and then we'll see Judd come in as well. Fletcher will get some run. Then we'll get to, of course, Marty. I don't know how Lyle's going to be for the Saturday. I'm not sure about that. They'll sit him out and rest him for maybe for South Florida to make sure he's 100%. But you will see Gerard Pringle and the Hellcat. Chris Whitley Humphrey will be another one that you're going to see as well. And you'll see some rotation on defense. I expect to see Booker Pickett, Hayden Lowe come in the game, Herbert Scroggins, all those guys come in as well, and the young freshman defensive backs as well to come in as well and take on Bethune. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all right, if that's it for me. If you like what you heard, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. Thank you so much for the first ever inaugural episode of Our Take, okay, with me. Wait, we got one more. Oh, there we go, one more comment. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. Really, guys, yes. Hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Let's grow this channel. Let's grow it. Let's grow it. I am having so much fun doing this. And I've always told you guys, and I mean it. I really do mean it. I do not have a show without you, okay? You guys out there are the reason why 305 Sports Now is going. And I'm always trying to improve the show as best as I can to entertain you guys out there, the audience, okay? Again, I really appreciate all those that have listened. I really appreciate Juan, who's been has been a supporter of my show from the very beginning. He supports all of us as well. I've seen him comment on the You Heard podcast. I've seen him comment on Flow Show as well. I think I've even seen him on the College Blitz as well, on the Caneswear pod as well, over there at the FTSN network. We shout out to Bobby and the rest of the crew as well. So yeah, man, thank you so much for everything. I really, really appreciate your support. You guys like you keep me going, man. They keep me going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you guys. All right, go Canes. All right, come out, support. I'm probably going to be at the game on Saturday. I'm not sure yet, but I may be at the game. So if you see me, just say hello. We're very approachable. I'll shake your hand. Whatever. It's late, man. I'm being a little silly right now. I get it. But thank you guys for supporting. All right, go Canes. Great victory. Congratulations again to the whole entire coaching staff. Coach Cristobal, Coach Dawson, Coach Heatherman, D. Lou, Jason Taylor, Etheridge, and Harris as well. Next showtime. That's a good question. I might do an episode on Beck. Sometime this week, I may do an episode on Beck. But I may try to do something for the Dolphins. It is going to be week 1 real soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening. God bless. See you soon. And Lou, thank you so much. And subscribe to the SoFlo podcast as well. Thank you so much, Lou, for all your support as well. God bless you guys. See you soon. Go Canes, guys. All about the U. Bye-bye.